Hey everyone, how y'all doing? And welcome back to another GBL video. So we are in the Championship Series Cup, and I was doing really well in the Mega Master League, and then I had an 0-5 to start off the day. But this team did really well. I had two 4-1s with it. I had a 3-2. I ended up going 13-12 on the day, so I still had a positive day. Now you might notice a couple Shadow Pokemon. Shadow Pokemon is supposed to be banned, but Niantic or Scopely messed up the coding or whatever goes into developing these cups. So Shadows, as of right now, are eligible, but I do imagine they will be banned. So you could run the non-Shadow versions on this team, and once the Shadows are presumably banned, I assume they'll be banned, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the non-Shadows and see how the team works. But huge shout out to someone in my chat, Rick Rules, for suggesting the team. He's in the 3100s with it, so we're hoping to make a push for a legend, but we'll see. I'm still in the 2800s, so definitely a struggle this season, but we'll see. We'll do the best that we can. That's all we can do, right? But let's go ahead and get into the battle. Thank you so much for the positive feedback on my last GBL video. I really do appreciate it. But starting out with that Metang, Gyarados. Okay, this is actually not the worst matchup in the world because you do resist the attacks, although they also resist Fury Cutter. But you do get to this Psyshock, which can pull a shield. Now, this was the first battle I did, and I am a little sick. That's why my voice might sound a little bit hoarse, because I am sick. They do let that one go. You could, this is my first battle. You should try and catch that, but I didn't do that. Not that you necessarily want to catch a crunch on a Gyarados, but I would say they generally usually bait. Obviously, my opponent didn't, but I just let the Betang go, and I bring in Gyarados, and I do get the farm down. So I'm going to get ahead on energy with the Gyarados. Okay, this is good because obviously Altaria does not want to see Dugong. And I will tell you, I did see a lot of Dugong. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the crunch right now. We do pick up a shield, but I do have to protect the Gyarados, even though I'm going to get debuffed. Because again, Altaria does not want to take any of that ice damage. So I am going to go ahead and protect that. And I do get off another crunch. I do believe my opponent shields as well. They probably realize I'm weak in the back to Dugong, so they do shield. I do get the defense drop though, which is nice. The Dugong gonna go ahead and throw an attack, but I still have to shield it. Get off the crunch, and after this crunch, I'm gonna pivot out into Altaria because I can't let them farm me down. And that's exactly what I do. They pivot out into Vespiquen, so I'm thinking this is a good matchup. But I forgot they had Power Gem. And Power Gem is going to do so much damage to me. I do get off my Sky Attack. For some reason, I was thinking this would be enough to KO, but Vespiquen is actually pretty bulky, and it's not even close to KOing. So that is not great, and they do get to another attack. It's only an X-Scissor, but still, it's going to get me low enough to where I just get farmed down, right? Unfortunately, I can't farm down the Vespiquen. I have to throw the attack here. And that will pick up the knockout, but out comes the Dugong, and Dugong will be able to farm me down, unfortunately. So well played to my opponent, starting off with the loss with the team, but that's okay because things do get better. Again, learning the team, this is definitely a good matchup. You love seeing this. Yes, they have Brutal Swing, which you are weak to, but it's really not a strong move. You could tank one as a Shadow, two as a non-Shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and take one Brutal Swing, and farm up extra energy and go for the Gyro Ball right here. And Gyro Ball will not KO, but they actually switch out into Turtonator. And I bring in the Gyarados. Now, I know this is Brutal Swing. You probably don't have to shield this. You do live a Brutal Swing here. But again, early battles, I do decide to shield it. I also wasn't sure which to respond with the Turtonator. I wasn't sure if Gyarados was better or Altaria. I kind of played differently. Dugong coming in, which is good because Altaria does not want to see this, right? So I do go for the crunch. We do pick up a shield. Trying to get to another one. I do get it off. I actually throw on bad timing here. I thought they would throw, so I ended up throwing on bad timing, which is not great. They do shield, but I do bring in my Metang, and I'm going to be able to shield the Oranguru attack. The Brutal Swing will KO me. I wasn't sure who won CMP. It actually is Metang, but I wasn't sure. So I throw immediately. They do not. So the fact that I landed that is really good for me. Because now I know Altaria survives an Icy Wind. So they'll KO us here. But I could bring in the Altaria and survive this and make it to a Sky Attack, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be able to win this game. So really well played to my opponent there. Had I known they had Dugong, it probably would have been better to bring in the Altaria against the Turtonator, but I didn't know they had Dugong in the back. Although I did see a lot of Dugong, as I mentioned. Metang into Dugong. Speak of the devil, another Dugong. Most of them were in the back, though. Okay, we have to watch out, obviously, for the drill run. I throw in bad timing here. Definitely a mistake by me. I was going for the CMP. But, yeah, I should have thrown in better timing. But it does land, though, which is nice. Drill run is not enough to KO. You could consider shielding this, but I let it go. And Clado, I am slow on the switch. Again, got to play a little bit better. But I do get off the Aqua Tail right here, which is really nice. Into the Clado. They do shield it. That was a CMP. I'm going to shield the attack as well because the Rock Tomb will be enough to knock out. Okay, very nice. And I go for the CMP here with the Crunch into the Clado. Will they shield? They will not shield. That is enough to barely pick up the knockout. Very nice. Dugong coming back. Can I make it? I can make it to the Crunch. I'm going to go ahead and throw it. And this Crunch will pick up... Well, and one more Dragon Breath. Pick up the knockout. A Rangaroo coming in. We're looking really good. Because you have to keep in mind, Altaria can take Brutal Swings. It's really not a strong move. So, you know, once we picked up the shield there, I'm going to go ahead and switch it to Altaria, and my opponent will concede. Really well played to my opponent. Let's move on to the next battle. Great lead for me. I've seen a couple of these leads. I think people are going after Gyarados because it's a common lead, which makes sense. Okay, Dugong. Dugong. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Gyro Ball, get some damage, and then switch out. I do wonder if you should just switch out without doing that. I take an Icy Wind right here. And I am going to be able to get off a Crunch. Definitely a debuffed Crunch. But you know what? I'm okay with with taking that, excuse me. With getting low, because obviously I don't want to give him a lot of fun. I do actually barely make a Crunch. I don't want to give him a lot of fun with the Alola Ninetales. So I do get off the Crunch here. And they will fight for Switch. So they do get it. Because obviously they don't want the Raichu on the Metang. But I also know that Altaria can do okay. You know, it can do pretty good as well. Against the Raichu, right? So I'm going to go ahead and Gyro Ball this. I think Psyshock is better to go for it, but they bring in their Raichu right here, and they're definitely going to overfarm. They're charging back to back, which makes sense because obviously if they wild charge, they do debuff their stats. But Flamethrower is enough to KO anyway. I didn't think Flamethrower would be enough, to be honest. I don't know why. Alolan Raichu is pretty classy. Great game to my opponent. Well played to them. Let's go ahead and move on to the next battle. Here we go. Shadow Metang into Mawak. This is obviously a really bad matchup. Only Alolan Mawak I've seen, but really bad. Oh, Togetic. Not good. I do decide to shield. I honestly forgot about Ancient Power, that it had Ancient Power, but that obviously makes sense there. There's no world in which I flip this matchup, unfortunately. I'm going to throw another one. I don't imagine they let it go. I mean, if they let it go, I could flip it, but they're not going to let it go. I'm trying so desperately to get to another one. I do decide to shield this just because I know I can get shields down at the very least. Like, you know, so that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to go for the shields down. And my opponent will shield, obviously, because they had a great matchup with the Alolan Mawak. And of course, Ancient Power is going to knock me out, right? So they do go for that Ancient Power. It does knock me out. I do bring in the Metang. I do wall the energy here. Dazzling Gleam, Ancient Power, which is the moveset. They are going to go ahead and go for the Dazzling Gleam. Although it still does a decent amount. Unfortunately, because my Fury Cut is resisted, I can't farm down. I could have farmed up more energy. I would have had to take another hit. I could have done it. Maybe it would have been worth it. Mawak is coming in. When I was doing these battles on stream, I was like, hopefully it's not Togekiss. I was expecting the Togekiss. So double Fairy. Cool team. Alolan Mawak, double Fairy. I'm hoping they don't have Dazzling Gleam, right? They did charge up for it, of course. So we're hoping they don't have it. They don't, but they have Ancient Power, and I was not expecting an Ancient Power, I'm not going to lie. But I do go ahead and go for the Sky Attack. It is enough, but at this point, trying to catch. I don't successfully catch, but I do get this off. And if I was able to get to one more, it would KO. So, like, maybe if I got more farm, like I said earlier, I guess the Togetic, maybe I could have won. But they do throw the Bone Club, and yeah, they have a Shadow Bone, which is going to KO the Altaria. So, we'll play to my opponent. Definitely really rough team comp for me, but, you know, I think we may be heading out, but really well played to them. Let's move on to the next one. Shadow Metang into Shadow Gyarados. Okay. Not the worst matchup. Not the worst matchup. They actually switch out into Turtonator. This time I do decide to bring in the Altaria. I'm still undecided which one I like better to respond to this. Because on one hand, like, they do have Dragon Claw, right? Which will do a lot. But it also doesn't KO the Altaria. Whereas you kind of have to shield the Gyarados. Although, if they Brutal Swing, I mean, the Gyarados lives a Brutal Swing. So I guess, especially if you're in the non-shadow, you don't have to. But I do make it to another Sky Attack into the Gyarados, which is really nice. At this point, I'm thinking double fire because they switched out like they did. So I'm going to bring in the Med Tank for that reason. Do I shield this? I do decide to shield this. Okay. Crunch would do devastating damage, although I would live it. I'm wrong. It's actually a Dust in the War. That's why they switched out. Okay, they do have two Med Tank answers in the back. But I do get off the Psyshock before switching out. Actually, I don't switch out. I just throw another one, and then I switch out. This will pick up the shield here. The final shield from my opponent. And now I bring in the Gyarados. All I have to do is throw an Aqua Tail here. I wasn't sure if this would knock out or not. It actually barely knocks out, so that's good for me. And then we can take that game. Good game to my opponent. There's definitely some mistakes throughout these games I've noticed, but you know, we still had a crazy positive day, right? Ooh, Gyarados. My opponent is staying in here. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Psyshock. Psyshock will do a lot of damage, so they might shield, and they do shield. And, okay, I don't try and catch. There is one battle I start trying to catch because a lot of times I do expect the Aqua Tail bait, and it wasn't Aqua Tail. So now my opponent gets over another attack, so I'm going to go ahead and double shield it. Don't love the double shield, but they also get the defense drop. Let's see if they shield this. Let's see if they shield. They do actually commit the shield there. I do try and catch there. And I'm thinking, well, I'm probably in Aqua Tail range, so they probably do throw the Aqua Tail, and they do. So I do successfully catch that. Dugong coming in, good. Because Altaria does not want to see Dugong, right? So I know they'll be able to take this matchup, but, you know, at least I'll get the crunch off. And I do get it off. And they do throw. They wouldn't have been able to farm me down before I made another crunch, so... They do throw the icy one. I decided to throw the Gyro Ball here. Looking back, Psyshock would have been enough. So Psyshock would have been better to throw, but I didn't want to risk it. Ooh, Turtonator. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, generally a good matchup. It's just, Dragon Pulse doing so much damage. I'm going to charge up a lot, hoping that I'm going to be able to outpace the Turtonator now. But that Turtonator is on Ember. And I know they can't Ember me down, but maybe they could make a move, but they don't. We do successfully get to the move, and this will KO the Turtonator. No, it won't. But we do farm down because Ember is not a strong move, and we do resist it. Good game, well played to my opponent. If they were able to farm me down, though, they would have won. Togekiss. Okay, you would think this is a good matchup, but it's okay. But it's not the greatest matchup because our fast attack is resisted. But there's this as well. And they do outpace us. So Orespia is coming in. And they actually switch into a Clado. I'm going to bait. I think it's a safe bait because my Aqua Tail is super effective as well. So we do get the shield there. And I know this is Rock Tomb. They obviously want to debuff me. So I'm going to go ahead and commit a shield. That would devastate my Gyarados. And by devastate, I mean knockout. I do go for the CMP here. And we'll see if my opponent lets it go. This might not KO thanks to being debuffed. It barely doesn't. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and shield this one up. It is a Rock Tomb. Togekiss coming in. I'm going to go ahead and try and snipe it down with the Gyro Ball right here. and they let it go. I thought they were going to shield that. Unlucky they don't, but look what comes in, Talonflame. But I do get off the Psyshock, which is huge. Now, they don't shield this Psyshock, which is good because it does a lot of damage, and I have fast move pressure Pokemon, right? So I'll get the Thunder Shield with the Aqua Tail. They couldn't have really shielded the Psyshock anyway because, you know, I'm going to be able to make the Aqua Tail. And they do throw an attack, which will KO. A Fly will KO my Gyarados. Easy KO here. But I also know I live a Brave Bird with the Altaria. So Altaria, I am keeping track of energy. So if I see the other Pokemon come in, the Clado, I'm going to throw my attack. Even though I think they were energy dry, but I also know they're one Incinerate away from an attack, I believe. So yeah, I'm able to farm down that Talonflame and take that game. Good game, well played to my opponent. Let's go ahead and move into the next one. Metag. Vanguard, definitely the matchup you want to see. Love this matchup. Detonator comes in. I do respond with the Altaria. Again, you could bring in the Gyarados if you want instead. But I put in the Altaria here. Dragon Claw coming in. Doing a lot, but not able to KO. And I do get off this attack. Because again, like Gyarados definitely can take a Brutal Swing as well. Even the Shadow one. I think I shield. I do decide to shield. Okay. That obviously is the Brutal Swing there. And I made a mistake here. I thought there were 2 away, but they were actually 1 away. So I miscounted here. I should have thrown my Sky Attack. I do get the farm down here, but definitely a huge mistake by me. Avangaroo coming in. I don't think I live that confusion. If I live that confusion, I'd get off my next one, but unfortunately I don't. So I had to go down 2 shields because of my my mistake. Ooh, okay. Unfortunately, if I had a shield here, this would be great, but I don't have a shield. So I will be. I know they're going to shield, but the thing is, Rock Tomb is going to KO me anyway. So Rock Tomb will be enough to knock out for sure. Farming up as much as possible so I can try and get to an attack against the Avangaroo. This is not going to be enough, but I need to be able to farm down, and I do farm down. That's huge. They can do a Brutal Swing, but I live a Brutal Swing because a Brutal Swing is not a strong move, right? So I live it, get off this Driver Ball, and this should be enough to knock out that Avangaroo. As it is, great game to my opponent. Well played. Well played to them. So able to take that despite the mistake there. Very nice. Gyarados, another Shadow Gyarados lead. This is why I've seen a couple Alolan Raichu leads, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Psyshock. I like this play because this does a lot. Or it gets a shield. And I do go for the catch, and I do successfully catch. It is an Aqua Tail. Now, they might not bait. They might go for Crunch. But I feel like most people probably bait. Out comes the Avangaroo. But I get off the Crunch. I do throw on bad timing, but I wanted to get it off before the Brutal Swing came out. But they actually double shield there. We get the defense drop. So I could bring in Metang here. And I know I can take one, so I'm going to go ahead and let one Brutal Swing go. And shield the next one. So I do decide to shield this one. And they bring in Turtonator, so I'm going to respond with Altaria here. Do I shield this Dragon Claw? Yes. Because I know like the damage coming from Avangaroo really doesn't do much to Altaria, right? I will throw a Sky Attack. Wasn't sure if this would be enough. It might not be. Let's see. It is barely not. Another Dragon Breath will finish it off. They'll love to see it. Out comes Gyarados. I'm going to throw my Sky Attack. Going to be doing a lot of damage to that poor Shadow Gyarados. And we don't get the farm down. They do make it to an attack. As long as they're not running Outrage, which I don't expect. Yeah, it's Crunch. Okay, so out comes the Avangaroo, and I do have the Gyro Ball loaded, so I'm going to go ahead and switch on out. Get that Gyro Ball off. Not enough to KO, but we do Fury cut it down, and my opponent will leave the battle. Great game. Well played. Well played. Let's move on to the next battle. This is actually not a bad matchup if they have Dragon Breath, so you can check the move, but they have Ember, so I'm going to go ahead and switch. And they do throw an attack. I do decide to shield. Aircut is not going to knock out. But Shadow Charizard has such a high attack, right? That's why I decided to shield. But Dugong is coming in. I saw so many Dugons. It was wild, but like Duga is such a good Pokemon. I do see a P-tie them on the next crunch, which is nice. I expected the shield, but unfortunately they don't shield, and this doesn't knock out. So I was hoping I would live this, but I don't, unfortunately. So that's not good for me. That's actually really bad. I could have shielded, went down 2 shields. I guess maybe I should have, because I could have maybe Dragon Breath down the Charizard. So I guess I should have. I was just hoping to live it, but I do get a shield there. I actually catch here. And it will be the Blast Burn, but look how much damage that does anyway. And Manglu comes in. Yeah, we would have been in a much better spot, I think, if we did actually double shield, you know. My opponent's not going to double shield that. Or not shield the Evangru. I do live a Brutal Swing, but they are going to get me low. I need to get that Sky Attack off. Yeah, I don't win this. I think I could have played better. But yeah, I don't win this. That's okay. That's fine. We'll play to my opponent there. I think I needed to farm this down. But unfortunately, I mean, the Charizard's just going to come back, right? Good game. I think I had play there, but we'll play. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Shadow Betang into Dust Noir. Definitely a tough lead. Obviously, that Astonish damage is no joke, so I'm going to leave into Gyarados. They respond with Glalie. So I will go for the crunch here. Not really anticipating the shield because I know Glalie can take it. Do I fight for Switch? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to fight for Switch. Avalanche would KO me here. And I'm not familiar with the counts on Glalie. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I should learn it, though. Can I shield and farm down? Not positive. I think I just let it go. Maybe I could have. But they actually switched. They gave up swap. Maybe they have another answer to Metang in the back. That's what I'm thinking. Because they wouldn't have swapped like that if they didn't have another answer, right? That does a lot. I thought in bad timing here. Definitely some mistakes like throughout the video, but that's fine. I do shield this one so I can get off a Sky Attack. I'm keeping track. I think at this point they're 1 away. So I'm able to get off the Sky Attack and KO the Dust Nova. But we'll see what's in the back. Oh, we have him in this battle. It's an Annihilate. Oh, okay, I didn't respond fast enough. It would have been nice if I was able to get out fast enough. But guess what? I live a Rage Fist. I live a Rage Fist, and they don't live a Psyshock. So I am actually going to get bailed out of this matchup. Yeah, I could have, again, played a lot of these games better. But we still had a good time and a successful day with this team. So definitely a lot of fun. But yeah, that will be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.